Hello, dear Homopedia family. We often operate under the limiting belief that the hacienda aesthetic, with its sprawling courtyards and massive thickets of adobe, is strictly reserved for the countryside, incompatible with the vertical constraints of the city. We reject this spatial fatalism. The essence of Spanish colonial architecture is not measured in acreage, but in the depth of its shadows and the honesty of its materials. When we strip away the requirement for vastness, we are left with a more potent truth. Grandeur is a feeling, not a floor plan. We can condense history into a corner. The modern urban apartment often feels like a sterile cage, where slick, temperature-less surfaces create a profound sensory disconnect. We resolve this architectural hollowness by introducing the tactile gravity of the hacienda. By layering the cool touch of raw terracotta and the earthy scent of aged timber against compact dimensions, we transform flimsy rentals into grounding sanctuaries. We prove that limited square footage actually invites a density of soul. To continue this journey into high-end, intimate design, please like and subscribe. Standard apartment walls are perfectly flat and visually dead, creating a friction where the eye slides off the surface without engagement. This lack of imperfection makes the space feel manufactured and temporary. We resolve this by applying a textured line wash or Venetian plaster. This introduces microshadows that catch the changing light throughout the day, artificially creating the sense of thick, time-worn adobe walls without sacrificing precious square footage. The tactile experience of a room dictates its emotional weight. Yet most apartments offer only the smoothness of latex paint. When walls are smooth, the hand slips off them. There is no engagement. By introducing a grit to the vertical surfaces, we slow down the visual scanning of the room. This textural drag makes a small room feel denser and more substantial, effectively tricking the brain into perceiving a historic gravity that the building's steel frame lacks. Color plays a crucial role in this illusion, and brilliant white is the enemy of the hacienda vibe. It reflects too much harsh city light, amplifying the smallness and sharpness of the room. We pivot to dirty whites and warm grayish colors that absorb rather than reflect. This absorption softens the edges of the room, blurring the boundaries where the wall meets the ceiling, creating an enveloping, womb-like atmosphere essential to the style. Flooring in rentals or new builds is often synonymous with cheap laminate or cold concrete, disconnecting the occupant from the earth and creating a floating, ungrounded sensation. To resolve this, we look to saltillo tile, but with a modification for urban limitations. We utilize high-quality porcelain lookalikes or thinner terracotta veneers to avoid the weight and height issues of traditional pavers, re-establishing the ground plane. The grout line is the unsung hero of the floor plan, yet it is often ignored. In a small space, a wide, contrasting grout line creates a grid that can make the floor look busy and the room smaller. We solve this by matching the grout tone closely to the tile, creating a monolithic earthen plane. This seamlessness expands the visual footprint, allowing the eye to travel uninterrupted across the room, mimicking a continuous clay floor. The temperature of the floor changes the psychology of the home. Cold floors induce a subconscious urge to keep moving, which is antithetical to the slow hacienda lifestyle. By layering these warm-toned tiles with thick, woven jute rugs, we introduce thermal and visual warmth. The friction of the jute against the smooth tile forces a slower pace of movement, mimicking the relaxed cadence of life in a Spanish courtyard. The spacing of these beams is a mathematical calculation of intimacy. Place them too close, and the ceiling feels heavy. Too far apart, and the effect is lost. We find the rhythm that breaks the ceiling plane into comfortable bays. This rhythm provides a sense of structural logic, suggesting that the apartment is holding itself up with timber rather than hidden steel studs, adding a narrative of strength. Urban ceilings are notoriously low, pressing down on the inhabitant and limiting architectural expression. Adding dark wood beams seems counterintuitive, creating a fear of a claustrophobic effect. However, the lack of ceiling articulation actually highlights the low height. We resolve this by installing shallow, faux wood vigas painted in a dark walnut tone, running perpendicular to the longest wall to visually widen the narrow space. Dark ceilings usually absorb light, which is a valid concern in small apartments. We counter this by keeping the ceiling plaster between the beams a shade lighter than the walls. This creates a vertical lift, drawing the eye upward to the contrast. The beams become architectural jewelry, turning the ceiling from a neglected surface into a defining feature of the hacienda aesthetic, drawing the eye up rather than down. Modern apartments are defined by sharp 90-degree angles and rectangular doorways, a rigidity that clashes with the organic fluidity of Spanish design. This feels industrial and rigid. We soften these transitions by installing drywall arch kits over existing door frames. Even a shallow arch softens the harsh geometry of the box, framing views into adjacent rooms like a painting and implying a thicker wall construction. The transition threshold is where the architecture speaks. Its standard metal strips destroy the illusion of history. We replace these with flush stone or wood thresholds that match the tonal quality of the flooring. This small detail eliminates the visual stutter between rooms, allowing the energy of the home to flow liquidly from the living area to the bedroom, reinforcing the continuity of the space. The shadow cast by the fixture is as important as the light itself. We choose sconces with intricate metalwork that cast lace-like shadows against the plaster walls. This dynamic interplay adds a layer of visual ornamentation without taking up physical space. It turns the walls into a canvas where light paints the decor rather than physical objects crowding the room, maximizing the utility of the vertical plane. An open door is just a hole in the wall. An arched opening is an invitation. By curving the header, we change the way light spills from one room to another. The shadows curve rather than slice, creating a softer gradient of illumination. This manipulation of light travel is critical in making 800 square feet feel like a series of unfolding discoveries rather than a single cramped compartment. Lighting in small apartments is often restricted to recessed cans, which flatten every texture we've worked to create. This supermarket lighting washes out the plaster and kills the mood. We resolve this by abandoning overhead lighting almost entirely in favor of wall sconces. Wrought iron fixtures with amber glass introduce a historic narrative while keeping the light source at human height, creating intimacy. The temperature of the bulb is the final negotiator of the vibe. We strictly use 2700K or lower. Anything cooler reads as office. In a small space, warm light bounces off the terracotta and wood tones to create a golden hour glow that persists into the night. This is the firelight effect, primal and comforting, essential for the Hacienda sanctuary and counteracting the blue light of the city. Kitchens in urban rentals are often sleek, glossy, and white, the antithesis of the hacienda. Ripping out cabinets is often not an option due to budget or lease. We solve this friction by focusing on the backsplash. Installing hand-painted Talavera tiles creates an immediate focal point that draws the eye away from modern cabinetry. The chaotic beauty of the pattern disrupts the sterility of the modern kitchen. The hardware on the cabinets is the handshake of the kitchen. Standard chrome pulls feel cold and slippery. We replace them with oil-rubbed bronze or matte black iron hardware. This tactile shift is subtle but profound. Every time a drawer is opened, the heavy, cool touch of the metal reinforces the narrative of permanence and old-world craftsmanship, grounding the user in the moment. We address the counter space by decluttering aggressively, but styling with intention. A single massive wooden bowl or a heavy ceramic pitcher replaces the clutter of appliances. This shift from storage to display changes the kitchen from a utility zone to a design feature. It aligns with the hacienda philosophy, where functional objects are also beautiful art forms, merging utility with aesthetics. Furniture scaling is the most common failure point. People try to fit apartment-sized furniture, which often looks dainty and cheap. The agitation is a space that feels either dollhouse-like or cluttered. Our resolution is fewer, larger pieces. A substantial, deep-seated leather sofa anchors the room better than 3 small chairs, creating a sense of luxury and generosity despite the small footprint. The legs of the furniture dictate the perception of floor space. Boxy furniture that sits on the floor eats up visual square footage. We select pieces with exposed wood legs that lift the mass off the ground. Seeing the floor continue underneath the sofa allows the brain to register the full dimensions of the room, maintaining the feeling of openness despite the heavy aesthetic of the materials. Texture is the new color. In a small space, a riot of colors creates chaos and shrinks the room. We stick to a monochromatic palette, but vary the textures wildly: leather, velvet, linen, wool. This quiet diversity keeps the eye interested without overwhelming the spatial processing. It is luxury defined by touch rather than visual noise, suitable for compact living. The lack of a garden is the ultimate friction in urban hacienda design, as the style is rooted in indoor-outdoor living. We are often left with only a window. We bring the courtyard in by placing large potted olive trees or palms in corners to blur the boundary of the wall. We treat the interior corners as garden beds, sacrificing floor space for psychological expansion and biophilic connection. The pot is as important as the plant. Plastic pots destroy the illusion immediately. We use heavy, aged terracotta or glazed ceramic planters. The visual weight of the pot grounds the plant, making it feel like permanent architecture rather than a temporary accessory. The scent of damp earth and foliage contributes to the sensory depth, masking the sterile smell of the city ventilation. Mirrors are the oldest trick in the book, but we use them differently. Instead of a modern frameless mirror, we use arched mirrors with window pane detailing. Placed opposite a real window, these act as phantom windows, suggesting the existence of another room or a courtyard beyond. It is a calculated deception that doubles the light and creates a false architectural depth essential for small spaces. Finally, the friction of clutter must be addressed. Hacienda style is minimalist but not empty. Daily life creates mess that ruins the serene aesthetic. We design drop zones disguised as decor. A vintage wooden trunk serves as a coffee table and storage. Woven baskets hide electronics. Everything must earn its keep. We curate the visible objects so that only those with soul ceramic, wood, iron remain in sight. The successful translation of hacienda flair into an urban apartment is not about replicating a movie set. It is about extracting the DNA of the style warmth, permanence, and honesty and splicing it into the modern genome. We discovered that by prioritizing the tactile over the visual, we could create a space that feels physically heavier and emotionally quieter than its square footage suggests. We replaced the hollow echo of the apartment with the resonant thrum of history. The metropolis relentlessly exposes, stripping intimacy from the urban footprint. We resolve this conflict by wrapping the resident in the sensory weight of the hacienda, cool, hand-troweled plaster and the scent of aged timber. This intervention transforms a cold, compact box into an earthen fortress, silencing the city's frantic hum to restore deep, tactile rest. If this vision of sanctuary resonates, subscribe and like to support our ongoing architectural discourse.